Welcome to Casio Chaos Theory, and welcome to this video that I hope will solve the great Human League and Casiotone M-10 mystery. As I mentioned in part 2 of my Casiotone M-10 review, and if you haven't already seen that video, then do feel free to check it out. Both the M10 and the Casio VR1 are listed on the inner sleeve of the Human League's Dare album under the Instruments Used heading. The VR1's very distinctive fantasy preset is clearly obvious on the track Get Carter. And its flute preset may even have been used to play the chorus melody, possibly double-tracked in The Things That Dreams Are Made Of. However, it wasn't quite as clear which tracks featured the M10. I've listened intently to this album over many decades, and it isn't instantly apparent where the M10 was used. A couple of years ago, I read in an online discussion forum that the M10 was used to play the main melody for Open Your Heart. And sure enough, when I tried playing the melody with my own M10, it seemed to me that the mystery was solved. However, while researching and making my previous Casiotone M10 video review, I found an archived April 1982 online copy of Electronics and Music Maker magazine that had an interview with Martin Rushent, the genius producer that made the Human League's Dare album sound so good. In the interview, Martin explains how they recorded Dare and how he integrated the, for the time, cutting-edge Roland MC8 microcomposer unit and the Linn LM1 drum machine into the process, along with the iconic Roland Jupiter 4 and the Roland System 700 synthesizers and others. Plus, he explained that much of Dare was programmed and sequenced. However, in part of the interview, he is quoted as saying, "Get Carter is perhaps an exception to the rest of Dare, in that it was done completely manually. There's no computers on that one at all. That's really the only one. It's very simple, almost like a cameo piece rather than a real track. We even used a Casio VL tone. It's on Open Your Heart playing the main theme. It's on the standard flute preset. We programmed it into the memory of the VL and just hit the button at the point we wanted it to play, with the tempo synced up. Sort of a lazy man's way of doing it. For £35 or whatever, it's an extraordinary thing." I discovered this interview after I'd already put together and recorded much of my Casiotone M10 video, including all the work I put into the recreation of the 1981 magazine advert, where I played the Open Your Heart main melody at the end of How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? I read this interview, then horrifyingly thought that my claims of the M10 being used in this song had just been completely shot down. I immediately got my VR1 to check this, and thankfully, either Martin recorded incorrectly, which I doubt seeing as he was the producer of the album, or more likely, the author of the article got the facts mixed up or out of context when transcribing the interview. This is also not the first time that this magazine had published incorrect information, as I pointed out in part 2 of the M10 review. At least according to the November 1981 issue of Electronics and Music Maker magazine. What isn't widely known is that both these keyboards, M10 and CT201, use the same VLSI chip, the D773G, but the M10 shares this LSI with the 14-tone CT301 and not with the 29-tone CT201. So let me explain why I believe this information is incorrect. The main Open Your Heart melody is played using the notes E, 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 F, E, A, 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 A sharp A, A, G, A, G, and the very last notes are played on a high C. To play the melody at the correct pitch on the VL1 using the flute preset, we'd have to set the octave switch to high and play the keys at the highest end of its keyboard to match the pitch for the original studio recording. And there's the problem. The highest note on the VL1's keyboard is a B, so we can't play that last high C note of the melody because the keyboard range is simply not there. If we play the melody an octave lower, then the pitch is wrong as it's an octave too low. Plus, the flute preset on the VL1 doesn't sound the same to me as the tone on the actual Open Your Heart recording. Meanwhile, the M10's flute preset, played at the upper octave of its keyboard, matches both the pitch and tonal character of the sound on the original Open Your Heart recording. Plus, the M10 has the extra key over the VL1 and can play the high C that the VL1 can't. Therefore, I believe that it is safe to confirm that the main melody line in Open Your Heart was played with the Casiotone M10 and not with the VL1, and that sloppy journalism likely missed out some crucial information from Martin and got Open Your Heart and Get Carter mixed up when typing up the interview. This is even more likely when you look at the text again, and it states, "We even used the Casio VL1. It's on Open Your Heart playing the main theme." And this text came immediately after discussing the track Get Carter that did use the VL1, but making no mentioning of it there, or of the VL1's iconic fantasy preset tone that was famously used for that track. It seems to me that when Martin stated, "We even used the Casio VL1, he was actually referring to Get Carter. Furthermore, the interview text goes on to say this: "We programmed it into the memory of the VL and just hit the button at the point we wanted it to play with the tempo synced up. Sort of a lazy man's way of doing it." The VL1 does indeed have a basic sequencer that you can program notes into its memory by using the rec record feature. But to play the sequence back, you have to manually trigger each note of the recorded sequence by using one of the two blue one-key play buttons. The quoted interview text kind of gives the impression that one key is hit and that somehow the VL1 is synced with the tempo of the track and plays the sequence. Additionally, the track Get Carter is just the VL1. There's no other sounds used, and the VL1 is simply played manually. If you listen closely, you can hear that a few notes aren't triggered exactly in time with all the others. Check the 4-note melody sequence played at the beginning of the track. and also the same 4-note melody repeated again at the 29-second mark. If I cut and paste the waveform of the 4-note melody from the 29-second mark and line it up below the same 4-note melody sequence at the beginning of the track, you can clearly see that they are not played in exactly the same time. This is because the only syncing going on would have been the person triggering these notes manually, possibly to a click track or a metronome. What I believe that Martin actually meant was that the VR1's one-key play sequencer made it easier to manually play a melody in sync during recording rather than playing each note on the VR1's somewhat primitive calculator-style square button keyboard, and that the song this applied to was Get Carter, not Open Your Heart, but the author of the magazine article didn't transcribe the interview correctly, hence leading to the confusion. And lastly, with the M10 having quite a nice and easy to play keyboard, certainly compared with the VR1, playing the Open Your Heart melody on it is no problem at all. Therefore, I categorically declare that the Casiotone M-10 deserves its place in history and to be known as the other little Casiotone keyboard that played a lead role on an iconic Human League hit single. Of course, I could be completely wrong on all of this, and if anyone knows for sure of the Dare tracks that the M10 was used on, please do let me know in the comments. Though I think that what I've shown and demonstrated does point to the M10 being the keyboard used for Open Your Heart's main melody, and not the VR1. I'm 99% certain. Oh, and remember, keep it Casio. That has got to be it. That really has got to be it. I'm not doing it anymore.